Hey everyone, DJ Don here with one of our best episodes yet. Before I jump right in, let me give you the backstory. Bizzy Bone's highly anticipated album, Carbon Monoxide, was recently released to stellar reviews. From St. Clair Thugs all the way to the title track, Carbon Monoxide, the album is a masterpiece. A masterpiece carefully created with a big help from a relatively unknown producer named Blais. Blais is smart, business-minded, and exactly what Bizzy Bone needed for his well-awaited return to the spotlight. He is the workhorse behind the new album and a solo artist with a very promising career. And today, for his very first public interview since the release of Carbon Monoxide, I'd like to welcome my good friend Blais. So Blais, welcome to The Buzz with DJ Don.
Man, what's going on, bro?
Man,
I'm honored to be here, bro.
Cool, man. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes out to talk with us and talk with the fans, man. I got a huge interview planned for today. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready, bro. I am so ready, man. I've been wanting to talk to everybody, so, hopefully, I know we're going to answer a lot of questions, and hell yeah, bro.
So first,
I'm definitely ready.
So first, start off by telling us where you were from and how you got into producing.
Man, so I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and I left New York at a young age, about 5 or 6, and I moved to Virginia, and it was Virginia Beach for a little bit, but it was mostly Norfolk, Virginia, and that's where I was raised. And man, from a young age, I just started really gravitating towards music, and it was Michael Jackson who really sparked something in me. I saw the Billie Jean video, and I was like, man, I don't know. And from that point forward, I was just in my room every day, locked the doors. I was a lonely kid anyway, so it was nothing. I was gonna be in my room anyway, but now I was obsessing and studying the artistry of Michael Jackson. You know what I'm saying? Not only from the dance, but just the conviction in his voice and the things and from an early age, those things were easy to kind of stick with me, and the things I pointed out. And then when I became a teenager, that's when I was introduced to Bone, and doing the same thing, man. I would just listen and even block out the lead vocals and just listen to the background.
Sure.
And that type of stuff, I would just was so mesmerized over, bro. It was deeper than just great music. It was just it did something to me emotionally, and I tried to kind of trigger those things. Figure out what, reverse engineer those things and say, what is this that struck this in my soul? You know what I'm saying? What element was it? And so that's what kind of my love with music is, because it makes me think like that, and I take it very seriously, so it's just, I don't know, bro, from a young age, it's just, music has just been me. And it was how we all got those things that it's yeah, I'm blessed and I'm grateful for these things, the physical things.
Sure.
And all that. But when it comes to your love for something, it's kind of almost the only thing that really fulfills you all the way.
Sure.
And it's not tangible. It's just it's one of those things, and that's what that is for me. It's without it, I have a void, and without it, I love my family, I love everything, but nothing has ever fulfilled me like music has.
See, I kind of knew this about you.
Brother.
I kind of knew this about you today, and you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but I could have wore anything in the whole world to do this interview today. And right now, as we speak, I'm actually wearing a Michael Jackson T-shirt with Michael Jackson from the Billie Jean video on the front of my shirt.
What?
But you know what? I got to admit something. I kind of knew you were a fan of Michael Jackson, because when you produced the teaser video for me, I seen the album in the background.
Yeah. Yep.
So I could have wore anything.
Bro, I got the Funko Pops in here and everything.
I could have wore anything today, and I chose Michael Jackson. So shout out to MJ. And
Hell yeah.
So
His birthday just passed in August too.
I know, I remember that, and I actually one time for Halloween dressed up like MJ. So I'll let you check those pictures out sometime. But I want you to tell us briefly about the very first project that you produced that you were super proud of.
You know, for a long time, bro, I would just produce for myself. And I mean, I produced for like Snow the Product. That was a really nice song. It's called "I'm Saying." That was a few years ago, and you know, I love her as an artist. It was great. You know what I'm saying? We kind of came up together in Texas, but it was just, you know, it wasn't something that I was like passionate about. You know what I'm saying? So the things that I was passionate about was producing for myself, and that's pretty much why I learned how to produce. Because when back, you know, years ago, I was when I couldn't afford a producer, I couldn't afford certain things, I forced myself to learn those things. So It was like I was just doing it for myself. And then, you know, the Snow the Product, there's some other ones that I can't think of. I just found out I produced something for Devin the Dude. Like, I just found that out like a few weeks ago. I was like, I wish I knew the artist name so I could shout him out, because his shit was dope as fuck. But I just found that out. But, you know, the thing that I was most passionate about is like this BIZZY project. So I would say, you know, this is the first one that really meant that much to me.
Sure. So speaking of the BIZZY project, I want to ask you some fan questions and talk about Carbon Monoxide, then talk a little bit about your music career as an artist and what you got coming up. Sound cool?
For sure, bro.
So, how did you meet Bizzy Bone and end up with the cool job of producing the new album?
Bro, you know, this sounds crazy. Well, it wasn't, okay, I'll be specific. I had, like, it was in a plan of mine to, like, work with BIZZY. Like, you know, I was like, I want to work with BIZZY, but it wasn't the music. It was the music. I wanted to get there, but my first initial thought was booking him for a show and showing him what I could do marketing-wise and branding-wise, and then try to shift that over to, like, the group and, like, the touring and all that. Because just like with the music, I just saw things that I was like, you know, I think if it was like this or like that, you know, things might move a little smoother or move a little faster. And I think I could be a help for those things, because I knew them, like, very well, because I was such a fan. And then it's like, to test my theories, I was in the groups, the BTNH board, I forgot what the other ones, all the other ones, and everybody was saying the same things, you know. And I was like, okay, so I'm gonna do this. And I booked him for the show, and the show went great. But during the show, his manager had hit me and was like, hey, like, you know, BIZZY, if there's anybody you know who wants features and stuff, like, let me know, and blah blah blah. And so I was like, let me hold on, you know, and because I was already sitting on a song, which was YNTG, I was already sitting on that because I wanted to present it to them. You know, I was gonna call it something different, like, not young niggas trying to get it. I wouldn't have had them saying that shit, but it would have been the same cadence, same everything. And that's why I even did the verse like that, where I'm sounding like crazy, because it was supposed to be a type of demo at first, where I'm kind of showing them what they could sound like on this record, you know. And so I was like, let me take this opportunity and do the feature. And so I did that. We did the song. So the show went good, and then we do the song. We release the song. The song does well, and we do the video. And then that's at the video shoot, you know, because this was our first time talking since we recorded the song. And I was just like, the first thing I wanted to know was, bro, what did you think of the mix? Like, that was my first question.
Sure.
When we got in the car, I was like, bro, of course it was, hey, how you doing? How you been? But then it was, what did you think of the mix? And he was like, honestly, Blais, he was like, this is the best that I've sounded in a really long time. And I was like, man, hell yeah. And then after the video shoot, he was like, Blaze, we should really do some more music. You know, we should really do some things. You know, I got my sons and this and that. And bro, I was like so excited. I was already like on cloud nine from the whole experience because I was shooting a video with BIZZY Bone. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this shit is dope as fuck. And then he says that, and it was just like a fucking roller coaster, bro. And I was like, you know, I'm just not the type, like, because I said I'm passionate about this shit. When he said that, it triggered something in me, and I was like, all right, see you later. And as soon as I went into the house, I made the Mo Murder 2 record. I know a lot of people have heard that, but it's not really out there. And then I did What Easy Said. And, you know, that's why I recorded these, because I was like, I want him to see my full vision. Like, this is BIZZY on the lead of What Easy Said, and this is Crazy in the background. And then when the chant comes, that's the whole group together. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't see how they can't deny this. You know what I'm saying? Not saying I'm not a cocky dude, and I wasn't saying that. I just felt it so much. You know what I'm saying? I could hear them doing those vocals. I was like, they will not lose with this record. And so he heard them, and he was like, man, he was like, this is dope as fuck, Blaze. This is it. And I just continued sending records, and everything was like that, where I just did a demo of me, either him or Crazy, because I was thinking, okay, this might be good for the group, or this is for BIZZY. And it went from there, bro. But we were doing that for like a whole year. Like, he hadn't even like put a vocal on any of the shit yet. And then, you know, the whole little Migos fiasco thing that went down with the shotgun or whatever. After that, he was thinking of getting back at him with the carbon monoxide, but it wasn't carbon monoxide at first. It was on a whole different beat, and he sent it to me, and I made the beat around his vocals, and we didn't have a name for it at first. And then I was like, bro, like, the line that is sticking out to me is carbon monoxide. You know what I'm saying? When you say that, that just seems like it describes the whole song. You know, you want that smoke, but this isn't just any smoke. This shit will kill you, and you won't see it coming.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how, and he was like, Blaze, that's it right there. And we went with the name, and then it was just kind of like, everything was an introduction, like, as far as my skill and what I knew how to do. Like, from the videos, it was like, okay, I had this idea of, bro, if we had a fan video, you know, that looked like just a whole bunch of clips of your different moments and fans and things like that with the song, we can make a video out of that if we want to hurry up and get it out. And he's like, yeah, that's a good idea. But I knew it was like, kind of like, okay, but who's going to do it, or where are we going to do it? And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. It's what I'm thinking. I did that. And then he was blown away by that. So it was kind of just repeating the formula. You know what I'm saying? Okay, the music works like this. The videos is going good like this. Let's do it again. And
The video's
that's
hilarious.
What created the album.
The video's hilarious.
Thanks, bro. Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring out the different, like, what he was saying, but bring it also current, and then also hitting those key moments that us as the fans love.
Sure.
You know, the intro was his idea, which was dope as fuck. He was like, we should have an intro. I'm thinking something like Star Wars. And I was like, bro, we can do that.
Yeah.
And then so he sent me the script. He's like, I got him. Yeah. He was like, this is the script. And I just read his script. But I was like, I don't know. I don't want to do it in a regular voice. I want to do it with an accent, with a, like, English accent, and sound like a Sean Connery or something. You know, because it had the Star Wars shit. So I was like, it's got to sound classic. So, bro, it was the same formula, bro, just repeating it. And that's
Sure.
what kind of led to the album. Because we were like, okay, we got these records. And we ended up looking, and we was like, we got a solid amount of records. And there's songs that didn't make the cut, which I know for a fact, like a lot of them we plan on just being scattered throughout different projects. And then even like the Mo Murder 2, he said, because it was gonna be on the album, but he was like, bro, and I know that this is a Bone song, so let's keep this in the stash. If we want to do it later like us, then we'll do it. But I think this is better for when that happens. And I was like, I totally agree.
Sure.
I totally agree.
Where does the title Ghost and Tommy come from? Tell us about that.
Oh, man, that was BIZZY, bro. He said it. He said Ghost and Tommy. And because we were talking about, I think it was after Enigma. And it was just like, it felt like we just felt good about it. You know what I'm saying? We felt really good. We were like, our relationship, as soft as it may sound, but it was growing. Like, we, our trust in each other and becoming like friends and shit. So it was like, he said it. And I only watched a few episodes of Power at that time. So I was like, huh? I was like, who's Ghost and Tommy? And he was like, Power. And I was like, hold on. And then that made me kind of want to go watch the show. So I started watching it. I was like, oh, shit. And I got the whole idea, the theme down that he was talking about. And I was like, oh, that's dope as fuck. It's like, until the new episode is kind of fucking it up, the new series, because Ghost and Tommy are now kind of like enemies at this point.
Sure.
And now me and BIZZY are like, kind of like, I don't know. We might go back to the drawing board on this because, me personally, I don't want that kind of energy. You know what I'm saying? Because that's not our story.
For sure.
Know? So, and he feels the same way. So it's like kind of like going back to the drawing board a little bit. So but we got the records and the ideas. Kind of the theme. It's still the same theme, like that Grand Theft Auto, Goodfellas, type shit.
Oh
Miami
man, we can't wait.
Shit.
We can't wait.
Hell, me too, bro. Think about, bro. Listen to me, like I'm you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm. I go crazy, like how y'all go crazy over shit. You know what I'm saying? Seeing them live and shit like that. So to even be in a position to even be in the talks of doing a project where BIZZY is like, God damn, like man, it's just a blessing, bro. And I'm like, I know I've worked towards this point. But it's still like I'm in two positions of being in it and then looking from the outside. And from the outside, I'm like, God, this is just amazing. And it's like, God is just amazing, bro, at the opportunities and the things that he puts in front of you. And, when you pray on stuff or you wish for things to happen, it can actually happen. It is possible. And so, yeah, bro. I'm really looking forward to that project.
So I want to ask you about your involvement on the BIZZY and Bloodline Harmony CD. Are you the exclusive producer?
No, as far as Bloodline?
Yeah.
No. See that originally, that's what I thought was the main thing that we were doing, and I think everything just happened naturally. But that door is still kind of just open. I'm me and Cleve, we talk a lot, and I've grown a real tight relationship with YBL. So I look at YBL like a little brother.
Sure.
And Cleve is real down to earth, and we getting cool. And I'm like, shit, and it's like this is BIZZY's family. So me calling myself a friend. Period. Like I said in a recent post, they don't need me to be successful. They're dope as fuck, and they're gonna make it on their own. YB, because I know him personally. He's got a great head on his shoulders. For his age, I'm like, man, when I was his age, if I would have had his mindset, I would be a billionaire right now. So I have my full trust that they're gonna do great. Even if I'm not included.
Right.
But to be a part of it would be dope because I do care. And you know what I'm saying? I care where they go as far as, some young dudes going after their dream, period. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not easy to do, especially growing up in the hood or going through different life hurdles. You know what I'm saying? I don't get all deep and shit, but it's like, it's deeper than the music because it's also the blood of BIZZY. And
of course.
I consider BIZZY my brother. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yo, these are your kids. I got them. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to do whatever I know how to do to help them. There ain't no, there ain't no threshold with me on that. You know what I'm saying? If they want to do that, I'm all for it.
So some of the fans were kind of lurking around on your beat store, and they said you had 3 beats for sale, and they were wondering if you were going to have any more beats for sale and you were going to update the store.
Yeah, bro. Bro. If you look at my vision board, it says beat catalog, 1 beat a day, and a whole bunch of other shit, and I just can't get to it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But as a producer, bro, like my best playing field, like where I play the best at, is when I'm doing it from scratch. I'm hands-on with the artist. I can kind of not only produce the instrumental of it, but I can produce their vocals. You know what I'm saying? Things like that is what creates the whole song, like every piece to the puzzle fitting.
Right, for sure.
You know what I mean? So that's what I would love to do. And I know it's impossible when we're talking about, everybody out there. So, but it is a focus of mine to get the catalog up with the beat store also. I really like, bro, it's a big goal of mine.
So the pictures that were used for the artwork on Carbon Monoxide, will they be available to view? Will they be available to view unedited?
Shit. Yeah, I don't mind throwing it out there. I think it's because the photo's already out there.
Right.
I don't know. I think they sent it to me, but it's already. I got that one. Yeah, sure. But I guess. I mean, it's already out there. Because I would say, let me talk to BIZZY about that, but I'm like, it's already out there.
We'll have to look for it because we got some fans that were interested in unedited pictures from the Carbon Monoxide photo shoot.
Well, you know what? There isn't a Carbon Monoxide photo shoot. Like every photo, even even the photos that are used inside the booklet is from a still shot from Alpha Mentality.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I mean, we could definitely put the raw photos out. They don't like the still shots. The quality, the pixels is pixelated, but it's like, you don't want it. I should.
So being the workhorse behind a CD release project can be stressful. You got to take the good with the bad. So what have you learned from this release?
Man, what have bro, I've learned, and it's not even about, because, okay, your question right there about, the workhorse, the one thing that I haven't learned is balance. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to answer that question, how I handle the workhorse, because I'm still working on that. But what I've learned from the whole process is like, bro, I was just telling BIZZY, like, bro, it's like playing high school ball and then you're thrown into the NBA. You know what I'm saying? Because all this stuff I was doing for myself, but it was on this level. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
when doing it, but it was working. Everything, the marketing and everything that I was doing was working. But it's like, how, okay, you're lifting the weights. You're probably gonna lift the same exact weight you've always lifted unless you got a spot, and now you're growing that muscle better, and you're putting the data down of, oh, this week I'm lifting 215. So it was like when I shifted over into that weight scale, it was like, damn, I gotta step it the fuck up, and so I started like really getting in there on video editing, Photoshop, bro, all of that shit I learned within the time, like, that I knew BIZZY. Like, so for 2 years, you know what I'm saying, I just started training myself. And so those are the things that I really learned, bro, how to even, put an album up on the streams and stuff the proper way.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? The ISRC codes and UPC codes and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, all this shit was just like not a worry of mine because I was focused on my artist stuff and not the business side too much. So I've learned so much.
So let's talk numbers. What is the current amount of physical copies sold of carbon monoxide?
That information I can't put out there, bro. Just not without BIZZY saying, like,
sure.
that would have to be something that BIZZY does.
Well, maybe we'll ask him when we interview him.
I'll tell you this, bro. It exceeded what we thought. I don't even know. Like, I always give myself a very small percentage just to have a big enough overhead and not have my expectations too high.
Right.
So, you know, it's like, oh, if we reach 1 million people and 1% converts, then that's this much. Even if 1% converts, you know what I'm saying? So if we happen to do 8%, we fucking exceeded like crazy.
You blew it out of the water.
We're doing, yeah, you know what I mean? So, and then also because I've never been a part of an album like his or Bones or anything like that. So I was trying to gauge, you know, like, hey, like, you know, with what we've done, is this a really good look or is this like normal at this rate? You know what I'm saying? They're like, no, this is outstanding. This is outstanding what we're doing right now. And I was like, oh shit. And that made me even more confident in my marketing tactic. You know what I'm saying? That what I've learned as a marketer, I was like, damn. And I can see the data in front of me. I can see how much we spent, how much we made, how many purchases were made, all in the data. And I'm like, damn, like this shit is like, you know, the people are really gravitating to this. They believed in us, you know, so they trusted us, you know, and I was already excited about the album. Like, we're not to sound cocky, it's just I believed in it so much. I'm like, we're not going to fail. We're not going to fail because it's good music and we did it from the heart. We didn't go in saying, we're going to make this a radio record or this type of song or this. It was like all from the heart. And I was like, once they hear this shit, so it did well, bro. Very, very well. It's
Sweet.
Still doing like well.
I've been seeing it in the charts, and that's really super, super cool. And I saw where you can purchase a gold edition of the CD, which comes with some cool BIZZY Bone swag. Tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. Man, so yeah, bro, that the gold version, it comes with, he signs it, he personally signs it. Then it comes with a t-shirt and a poster. And the gold version CD has one of the artwork on it is different from the regular CD. So besides the gold on it, there's a whole different photo that only these people will have.
Cool. So you have a few features on Carbon Monoxide, and track number 9, Unlucky Ones, was written by you as well. So why don't you give the fans the scoop on that?
Man, okay, so majority of the songs, those songs that I'm featured on were those type of songs that I was talking about earlier, where they were demos, and me thinking that BIZZY was gonna record the hook, or he would get Crazy or somebody on it, or it would be a group song. So, like, I already explained what Easy said. So Paper, you know what I'm saying? I pictured Paper like him, it's his leads. And then when it comes to the fast part, I was thinking when he went on Body Rock, after after that part, when he just starts going and he has those backgrounds, they sound so impactful.
Sure. On
his last words. And that's what I was picturing on the second half of For the Paper, FTP. And let me see, what other? Oh, Landon Cleveland. I was thinking Crazy Bone doing that hook. And then, so as far as the hooks, like those that I'm on, I would stress to BIZZY, bro. I would be like, bro, it needs to be either you or Bone. Like, I honestly feel that nobody should be singing your hooks except for y'all, because that's the harmony in Bone Thugs and Harmony. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless it's a female, like the Mariah Careys and things like that, I think those songs fit well because a woman's tone it kind of blends well with theirs.
That's funny that
it's something that they can't do, and something that just adds on to it.
That's funny that you say that, because I've actually went on record before and said my favorite Bone Thugs and Harmony song is Breakdown.
I love that song too. I love that song too. But you see that blend, and that's Crazy Bone's genius, because I think he wrote the whole song. But the blend of his voice with a woman's voice sounds so fucking dope. So that's what I was thinking with Landon Cleveland. Well, no. Actually, no. His niece wasn't. It was just my demo. I actually didn't picture a female on that one until BIZZY was like his niece, and then when I heard it, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But okay, so those songs were like that. Those were supposed to be demos, and then BIZZY was kind of like, Blais, I love how you sound on them, and I feel like how it feels. I love how it feels, and I don't want to change that. And it was kind of, it's like at that point it was like, well, what can I say? You know what I'm saying? And another thing that I was worried about was just like, not worried, but what I was cautious about was me as an artist, as an individual. I have a style of my own. And this is going to be it's going to be a representation on a big stage. The biggest stage that I've ever been on. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want to be represented right. But then at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I love how the album came out. I love how it's translating to people, because that was the key point. Translating this feeling back to people, and that's what I've been seeing. So I was like, at this point, I wouldn't change anything about that. And then Unlucky Ones, that was a record that I've been sitting on for years, that I planned on putting out for myself. And that song meant a lot to me, because it was just like, as an artist, it's like you're fighting for your dream. You know what I'm saying? This is, like I said before, this is the only thing that fulfills me. So it's almost like a drug where it's hit me and I keep on chasing it. No matter if it breaks my heart, I don't care if it beats me up, because when it gives me that feeling, it's like, it's worth it. You know what I'm saying? It's worth everything that I went through for it. And that's kind of like what that song is like, I've been unlucky, and I'm chasing something that I know is going to break my heart. But, let me get what I want for the first time. Almost like, I don't know if you remember the Smiths record.
Yeah.
You remember that song? Yeah, where it's like, let me get what I want for the first, let me. It's almost on that same level. It's like, let me get what I want for the first time. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is the only thing that I've ever asked for. And so that's kind of where my mind was when I made that. And then when we brought it for the album, I was like, this song means a lot to me, and I know it's great. And like I said, the way, when it comes to music, I look at myself from the outside looking in, and I really like criticize it and take it down and tear it apart. So it's not coming from a cocky place. It's just like, I know what went into it. So I know it's a great song. And he recorded his verses, and I was like, man, that completed it right there.
So
he fucking took that shit to the next level.
So a few weeks ago, I was in Atlanta for Crazy Bones Thug Mentality Tour, and while I was there, I walked around downtown Atlanta once, and then outside the concert, telling people about the upcoming release of Carbon Monoxide. Doesn't that rock?
Yeah, that's fucking dope. I saw when you were doing the reaction video, and you were playing it, and you were telling people out the window. I was like, man, that's dope as hell.
Man, I was riding through my local Walmart, and people were looking at me, and the lady was was on the phone, and she had the phone up to her ear, and you could tell that she noticed my music because she turned around and looked. And I just rolled the window down and hollered carbon monoxide, Bizzy Bone, and kept rolling.
Is he saying carbon monoxide is coming out of my car?
Yeah. She probably had no idea, but it was fun. It was definitely fun.
Yeah, no, that's dope. That's like, bro, if we imagine like that, like getting thousands of people with that same passion and getting behind this like that. Like, that's why I always say, bro, we have the power to take anything that we want, you know, that we all believe in as a unit, to wherever we want. We're strong. Like, look what we did as far as even touching the charts. Bro, that's all the people in the groups and stuff.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the people who really give a fuck. Those people came together at the same time and pushed a snowball down an avalanche.
So
you know what I'm saying? So it's like, we have the power to do that shit for real. And that's why I appreciate you doing shit like that.
No problem, man. I had fun doing it. It was definitely a fun time, and I had fun at the Thug Mentality Tour and spreading some love. I want to tell you something else kind of cool. I was the first person to like the tracks from Carbon Monoxide on YouTube, and I have video proof of that.
To write the tracks on there?
No, to like them. You know how you can go to YouTube and like a video?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was the very first person to like the tracks on Carbon Monoxide, and I have video proof of that.
Wow. You're on top of your shit, bro. That's dope as fuck.
So the Alpha Mentality video has almost 500,000 views on YouTube, and you also got that out rather quickly. So tell us about the process of putting out a music video along with a new release and how important a hot music video is.
So, yeah, bro. We knew. I told Bizzy. We had been, because he shot that when he filmed Stalking Me, in the same day. So we were sitting on it for a minute, and then, we were getting the album together and all that. But we knew that a video has to release on the day or before the day of the album release, to kind of, put a little bit more gasoline to the fire. So, man, it was just, and I kind of, to gauge my time with doing a video, like producing a video out, because of the Stalking Me one. Because that one, the Stalking Me video, took like 6 days, and I'm talking about, because I obsess and shit. So I was in front of it for at least probably an average of 18 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? So on this one, I was like, okay, I'm going to pace myself, but I know that it's going to be done in time. And so that's what I did. And I had learned some new tricks along the way, like with the graphics and the visual arts shit. So I started implementing that a little bit more. And, and then, how Bizzy does, I'll send him where I'm at. And this time, this time I did a little different. I sent him examples almost after every part, because Bizzy will go and, if I finish the whole thing, he's like, no, change this. I'm like, damn, like, to go backwards is a whole other story. So this time I just did it in pieces. But yeah, we knew that it was important to get out on the same day, and I knew that I wanted each video to get better and better as they go. So, and that's what I tried to do with Alpha Mentality. I was like, this one has to look great, and Bizzy, though, his eye it's got to be crispy. You know what I'm saying? It's got to look sleek. And so it's like we put all those components together, and shit, bro. That's like we haven't gotten 500,000 views on any of the videos thus far, and that one, to get that much in, I think it's like 2 weeks. I'm like, man, the momentum is building, and I guess we kind of we did our job on that release, like with the video and everything.
So the fans have been asking for behind the scenes footage of Carbon Monoxide being recorded and produced. Is there any of that, and will we ever see it?
Man, on this project, bro, a lot of the work was through email. Like Carbon Monoxide, the single, at least I want to say 4 songs on the album were done on other beats, and we already knew that I would be doing a brand new beat, but over the vocals.
Sure.
Like Stalking Me was on a different beat.
So it's kind of like working in reverse. Kind of like working in reverse.
Yep. Yep. And so a lot of the footage, I don't know if he has anything when he was actually in the studio recording, and my stuff is like, recording in my home studio and stuff like that. And maybe they would like to see stuff like that. Like, I look at it like, this ain't nothing like entertaining like that, but maybe they would like to see that, and I would have to skim through shit and see what I got.
So what about a deluxe edition with bonus tracks? Is there any bonus tracks that you could possibly speak on?
Oh, there's we have there, bro. Okay, so check this out. Before we were working on the album, remember I said we were kind of just like creating and with no real strong plan. But the first plan was a mixtape. And that's when the whole thing of me recreating beats started, because I was recreating something that was done on like an industry beat. And so it was supposed to be a mixtape. So we have verses and songs just sitting that we could, one, do brand new beats to and put them out. And then there's like a few that didn't make the album that we'll probably put out. And then
like put a number on
demos.
It. Put a number on it. How many? Put a number on it. How many tracks do you think didn't make the album?
There's at least 3 that didn't make the album as far as that were planned for the album. Then there's like 6 that were done for a mixtape that could have been on the album if we would have went back to them, but we didn't. And then there's about 8 to 12 demos that I've done that that were planned for either the album or a Bone album.
Sure.
So there's a lot that we have to work with.
Cool.
And that's what I was saying. Yeah. I would say at least 15 to 20 as a collective.
Sure. So before we move on, I want to give you my favorite tracks from Carbon Monoxide. Is that okay?
Hell yeah.
So my favorite song by a long shot is definitely Enigma. I love Enigma. I love the energy of Enigma. And when I heard the whole string of verses that comes after the words, I'm about to pull a musket out, like that whole, like for the next 45 seconds is absolutely BIZZY's best shining moment on that whole album, because that is classic BIZZY Bone. He's spitting fire, and just whatever that is in his voice is definitely hard. So Enigma's the best song I think on the album, followed by Alpha Mentality, Stupid, When I Land in Cleveland, Trophies, Stalking Me, Remember What Easy Said, and then the rest of the album. So
yeah, those are some good choices, yeah, man.
So outside of Bone, who would you want to work with?
Outside of Bone, I would love to work with like Do or Die, Twister, who else, man? As far as like let's say mainstream, I would say like The Weeknd, and who else, man?
I love The Weeknd, by the way.
Yeah, bro, I love his sound, bro. Cause yeah, like I said, I'm a huge Michael fan, So The Weeknd to me is like I don't know disrespect to him, but like I know he's his own person. But to me, he's like the second coming of Michael.
I can see that for sure.
Especially one of the last album, but it's like, man, his vibrato, the conviction in his voice, his tenor, is like, and his falsetto, like, God damn, bro, he's genius, man.
I've actually talked to Twista. I've actually talked to Twista on my show a little bit. So shout out to Twista. Yes, you working with Twista would definitely be amazing.
Yeah, but I would like that. And shit, bro. I mean, there's other people like R&B wise. I would love to work with Genuine and kind of like do the same formula, like what we did with BIZZY. Is kind of like just let me kind of. I don't want to say oversee it because me and BIZZY were parallel with everything, but kind of oversee it a little bit sound wise, just to the direction. You know, a lot of artists like that. It's like, it's not about the money with me. You know what I'm saying? It's not about the money at all. So it's like, I don't want to go chasing a hit. And I only want to do projects that I'm passionate about because I know that's where I'm going to see results. And it is something that I believe in that much.
So do you still have the first beat that you ever produced?
No, bro, I produced it. It was an old PlayStation game on the first PlayStation.
I had that game.
And you had that game? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people know what we're talking about right now.
Yes, sir, I had that game. Shout out to JC Goins. I remember I loaned it to my friend JC, and he made a cool-ass beat, too.
Yep, bro, that's how I would do it. And then I would record it to my karaoke machine, and then I would put the tape. So one tape would be recorded on another tape, laying the first vocal. Then I would bring the tape I recorded on back to the right side and do a second background and record on another tape. Bro, that's how the first beats went down, like doing it like that, and then straight to the karaoke machine for the vocal.
So would you ever consider taking your favorite BIZZY tracks and making a remix CD with those vocals on your beats?
Nah, no way. Not not any of his old stuff, or not anything that was already released. The only thing that I would do is, let's say, songs that weren't released, like it was told to me there's a On the Freeway 2 laying around somewhere, and like if I could get my hands on something like that, yeah, I would love to recreate something around that, but still keep the essence of where it originated from. You know what I mean? But I wouldn't touch anything else as far as new production. When it comes to mastering and remixing, cool, but not reproduction, because you can't do that to those classics. It's like, I said it recently, like, that's like the Mona Lisa and you just throwing paint on it.
Right.
Or you going over the shoulder and saying, I want to do this right here.
So representing Bone Thugs Unofficial, I'd like to ask you some questions related to Bone Thugs as a whole group. So tell us about the first time you heard Bone Thugs and Harmony and what turned you on to them specifically.
Okay, so I think I was like 12, and we were playing basketball in my backyard, and I had Eazy-E playing. I had I forgot what album playing, and I think my friend was like, "If you like Eazy-E, then you gotta hear this." And it was First of the Month, and so that's where I started, was First of the Month, and then I kind of had to start researching and go backwards a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So did I answer? That's what you asked me, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
that was it.
So which is a better Bone Thugs and Harmony song, and why? Thug Love with Tupac, Notorious Thugs with Biggie, or For the Love of Money with Eazy-E?
I can't say better. I can't say better because they all are different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't. Now, if you're asking me my favorite one.
Sure, your favorite one.
Oh, shit. My favorite one, I guess, would be Notorious Thugs. And that's just And I think, I don't know, it's like, because I was equally excited about, I don't know, bro. Damn, that's hard. Because I was equally excited when they were releasing. And I think the Tupac, I knew because I saw it on the album, like as far as the credits. But the Biggie one, I just stumbled upon. I don't know if I was at like a teenager club. I think I was at like one of the teenager clubs. You know what I'm saying? The little shit that you weren't supposed to be at.
Sure.
And they played Notorious Thugs. And the feeling it gave me in that moment, because I was already like a brand new Bone fan. And when I heard that, I was like, just like, yes, these guys are the gods. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? And so from that point forward, and that's why I say that song is my favorite, because it's not only the musicality of it, but the experience that I had when listening to it.
So if you could ask the legendary but deceased Eazy-E any question in the world, what would you ask him?
What he looked for in an artist. You know what I'm saying? Like what?
Maybe like what he saw in Bone Thugs?
Huh?
Like maybe what he saw in Bone Thugs, like what kind of stuff he looks for in an artist?
I kind of know. Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's like, because we all know the story, but it's kind of like going deeper as far as like, them too, but overall, because he just had a great ear for music and he could spot out a star. So it's like, what were those key components that you paid attention to?
Sure.
You know, I think that's what I would ask, because, you know, it would be something about music or business, because I thought he was like, you know, great at those things. You know what I mean? And because it's like, I still look at people on even like, you know, people like him, like, he's not there just because he's there. He worked for it, and he knew things, and something was in him that's not in other people. So it's like, I wanted to know those things.
So I recently started a petition on change.org where we as fans are collectively asking for a Bone Thugs album featuring all 5 members, produced by you. How does that make you feel that we trust you with such a big responsibility?
Bro, I was honored, bro. Like, I was super honored, man. Like, that type of shit, like I said before, just to be mentioned, like, period, is like, was enough for me. And that is like, I don't know, yeah, bro, I'm very grateful, bro. Very grateful for that. For people to even, hey, like you said, have that trust in me.
You know, the petition has been signed over 350 times this week.
That's wild.
So
that's big, man.
Yeah, and so we'll see what happens, man. And I have another question. Do you think you could ever convince Wishbone to make a solo album?
I think I don't know, bro. That's got to be something that he really wants to do. I don't think it would be convincing, because he's surrounded by his brothers. You know what I'm saying? These are his brothers who have his back, that would say, you know, we'll do you know, we're going to be featured on it. We're going to do this. And if that didn't convince him, there's something else. Maybe it's just not something he wants to do.
Sure.
You know, so I wouldn't try to pull that out.
So which artists besides Bone Thugs are you jamming to right now?
Okay, well, the last person I was listening to was Kid Cudi. It was like Man on the Moon. I haven't been listening to, Post Malone. I played his album at least twice. I really like his album. I'm not like, you know, gung-ho Post Malone, but I respect him as an artist, and he's some of the best music coming out right now as far as the new guys. And then, of course, Nipsey. Man, I was bumping his shit already, and then now it's just like, you know, it just hits, like, what do they say? It hits a little different.
Sure.
It hits so differently.
So would you ever consider producing a heavy metal record?
No, not a whole record. I'm not skilled in that genre. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, I would. No, I wouldn't because it's like even my knowledge, and it's weird because I was a huge before I was a hip hop fan. I was a huge Buddy Holly, Elvis Presley, and Richie Valens and Big Bopper. That whole era was my thing. Like I was obsessed in that shit. But that's the knowledge that I know about it. You know what I'm saying? So as far as heavy metal, that's not. I don't know that much, and I wouldn't even want to. That's like. Well, I always say this like the car is broken down on the road. And I'm trying to learn how to fix it when there's a mechanic in the car who can get us on the road.
Right, right.
I'm not going to be no speed bump to anything. You know, I can figure it out, but I'm not going to do that to the other parties. And to the respect of heavy metal as a genre altogether.
So, did you see Little Busy going on about Bone Thugs and Harmony on Facebook Live a few days ago?
About what?
Little Busy going on and on about Bone Thugs and Harmony on Facebook Live a few days ago.
Yeah.
To me,
I just saw that yesterday.
To me, it kind of sounded like he was dissing them. What do you think about that?
I don't, bro. The way I look at humans, and this is really started really evolving this year, man. And it's like I look at all sides. What he's feeling in that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like what is he feeling? You know what I'm saying? Like as far as where did this come from? And only he knows that. You know what I'm saying? But I can't look at it like, oh, he's hating or he's bitter or whatever like that, because I don't know what this man, and I don't know what, that's like family business.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I leave that. It's like that's family business. You know, and maybe it shouldn't have been put out there publicly because now people think they have their opinions. And not everybody's going to think like that. But at the end of the day, it's like, don't disrespect him, one, because that's somebody that you say that you love. That's his blood right there. And that's his child. You know, that's one. You know, on the respect of this man and the respect of Lil Busy as a man himself. You know, this is still a person. Like, don't do that. And then three is like, this is family business. Let them handle that.
Sure. So I saw on social media, Bizzy recently left his hat in your car, and the super fan in you wanted to keep it. So did you get to keep the hat, or did Bizzy make you give it back?
No. So I tried. So I don't want to make it look like I just stole it from him. But he left it. I saw he left it in the car. And I was like, bro, like, you left your hat in my car. Shoot me your P.O. box so I can send it to you or whatever. And he didn't respond to that text. You know what I'm saying? So, but I didn't, fight. I didn't, come back and say, hey, bro, did you get my text about the hat? So I was like, you know what? I said something, and if he wants it back, cool. But, you know, I didn't have his P.O. box at the time. So
that's great.
Yeah. And I don't think he ain't tripping, because he bought the hat right before we went to the Mike Tyson interview. And it was at Dick's. And you know how Dick's is, they only have the hats with the curved brim and the fisherman hats.
Sure.
So that was the only hat that he found that was rockable. So I don't think he gives a fuck about that hat. So
I want to tell you a quick story. Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You good.
So I want to tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I saw Bone in concert, and all 5 members were there. I bought a white leather Bone hat at the show, and I ended up meeting Bizzy for the first time after the show. I was wearing the hat, and I wanted to get it signed by Bizzy, but I was unable to due to not having a marker. So fast forward a few years, I still have the hat, and everyone in Bone has signed my hat since then, at separate times, mind you, except for Bizzy Bone. I still have to get his signature on that white hat. That's kind of wild, huh?
Yeah, that is wild, bro. That is wild. Yeah, you got, bro. That ain't. I mean, you're in North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm in North Carolina on the East Coast.
The tour didn't come there.
No, I actually. What was funny about that is, not to get off topic, but I actually was responsible for the the poster and the promotions on the last show of the tour, like the Tampa flyer.
Yeah.
That was
nice.
that was me. Like I actually was
that's
contracted by the Tampa promoter to put that flyer out, and I actually contracted one of the people that worked on Lazy Bones' album to produce that flyer for me, and then I in turn sold it to the promoter in Tampa.
Man, that's nice, bro.
But it was 9 hours for me to get to that show, and I had just went from North Carolina to Evansville, Indiana, to see a Bone Thugs and Harmony show, and I was working on going to Thug Mentality with Crazy Bone.
Yeah.
So going to Carbon Monoxide in Florida just wasn't in the cards.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So we've talked about Carbon Monoxide, and we've talked about Bone Thugs and Harmony, and a ton of other stuff. So let's talk strictly about Blais for a moment. What do you want fans to know about Blais?
Man, I want them to, it's like, I'm really just honored and happy that they're listening. You know what I'm saying? Because that's kind of like everything I wanted out of music, is just to be heard and, to perform and stuff like that. But I'm appreciative of that, man. I think that they're going to really get to know me through the music. You know what I'm saying? And, like even, I feel like really connected to everybody as far as even in the groups and stuff and talking to them. And it's like, that's something that I don't want to lose. But it's something that I also know is hard to hold on to when you're trying to go, this far out. You know what I'm saying? As far as where you're trying to go in your craft. So I'm hoping that just to learn that balance, man, and I want them to get to know me through the music. You know what I'm saying? I want them to also, like, the trust that they have in me right now, I don't want to break that, because that's the type of person I am, is like, integrity means a lot to me. Sticking to my word and me following through and me, overdoing stuff. And yeah, I'm like obsessive and shit, but it's like, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And that means for the same for you, the people is like, if I tell you I'm going to do this, I'm going to do everything in my power to. So I just want to be that type of, just that connection, you know what I'm saying? They know me as the artist, but they also know the person I am is honorable and worthy of the trust.
So I saw some talk about an interest in re-releasing Heaven's Movie featuring the tracks that never made the original album. Can you tell us anything about that?
Yeah, I don't want to get too much on that, because I just say it's a conversation we had, and I already felt kind of like, because it's like our conversations are our conversations, but that I just was like, I gotta let the family know. You know what I'm saying? Like what we just talked about. But I did say, this is not concrete. It was a conversation.
Right. Yeah, just a conversation, so just thoughts.
But that conversation, though, is, bro, I know we all would love that, bro, because there was something about that album that just felt incomplete. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's like, to have it feel a little bit more complete, and then a remastered version, not saying the remaster will sound better or not different, but just a different element. You know what I'm saying? Maybe making it sound a little bit more 2019 as far as crispiness and, snares and popping out and the bass being a little bit more boomier, but nothing taken away from the authentic part of it.
Sure. So what advice would you give to up-and-coming producers and entrepreneurs that could help them on their come-up?
Yeah, I would say that you need to obsess in everything that has to do with the goal. You can't wait on anybody or think that somebody else can do it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's when you come to the table with that opportunist vibe, and thinking that it should land in your lap, and it's going to become very frustrating. And the frustration and the failure is what makes a lot of people give up on this dream. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I say you gotta depend on yourself. Learn marketing, learn branding, learn your skill. As far as you don't gotta be Beethoven and shit, but learn the keyboard enough to where you can play what you hear to an extent. You know, you can get your vision across, at least 80% of your vision out musically. You know, because even me, I feel like I'm still at, I would say 75% of the skill level that I should be at, you know, when it comes to the piano and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I say obsession that, because the better you are at getting your vision out through music, you can express anything that you want to feel, you know, or you want the listener to feel.
Sure.
And that's the control. That just goes back to the control that you need to have as your business. You need to treat yourself as a business, and you need to control it. So how you look, how you're presented, what you project, everything, take control. And now if you fail, you can't blame it on anybody. It's all on you. So that's like what I say, bro, because those are the things. Once people, anybody, bro, it's not only musicians, but anybody who has a business or anybody who wants to do something, if once they understand that the information is at their fingertips and that they can be the machine and they don't need anybody, that's when all the middlemen start getting cut out. You know what I mean? And that's when people start seeing their full potential. And I think it goes for any aspect of, or any category of what you're trying to do.
So tell us where we can get our hands and ears on the latest stuff by Blais.
Man, so I had a project called M's by the Summer that was out, but you know, me being my worst critic, I took the whole shit down, and I was like, no, that ain't it. I want to, and sales were doing pretty good too, but I was like, no, I don't want to. I was feeling different about everything. It wasn't even like the songs were great, but it was like I was in a different place mentally. So now I'm pretty much starting from scratch, bro. I mean, YNTG is out on my YouTube, and that's where everybody can go really for the new music. All my YouTube is youtube.com/Team Blais, BLAIS. But that's where I'm going to be dropping all the music and kind of getting, just like with the Bone shit, is like, I want people's opinions. I want people to help me along the way, you know, where we're going with this, and keep them in touch. So, yeah, that's what's coming, bro. They can go to the YouTube, but it's coming like immediately, new music.
So if people are looking to purchase beats from you, or want to use you for a feature or as a producer, where should they contact you?
They should contact me at booking@whoisblais.com. That would be the best way to contact me. So we can kind of focus on the music part when we get there, and then, you know, the business can be handled over there.
Perfect. So I want to give you the microphone to thank or shout out whoever or whatever. So go ahead, Blais.
Man, first off, I want to thank The Buzz with DJ Don, my man Don, for even having me. I appreciate you, brother.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Shout out to everybody who's been supporting this album, who's been supporting me, all of the groups. I don't want to start naming them because I know I'll miss some, but you know who you are, the people. I don't want to name the people either because I'll miss some, but you know who you are, and you know how appreciative I am. Like I said before, this was like, all I wanted to do was be heard, and all I wanted for BIZZY was just to be put on a pedestal of how great that I saw him. You know, and I knew that everybody else saw him also. So it was like, you know, that's why I say this is us. Like, we did this together. You know, and so I want to give them a huge shout out because, man, None of this shit, like, bro, for people that would trust like that, man, that's big, bro. And to trust me, you know, I appreciate them, so I want to give a shout out to all of them. Of course, my brother BIZZY. I always tell him, like, you know, the relationship and friendship means the most to me before anything, you know, at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because we built a relationship where we call each other brothers and friends, and that shit I don't take lightly. So it's like on that level, it's like I always tell them, you know, I appreciate your friendship. You know, I'll let all this shit go, but you know, but the friendship means a lot to me. So shout out to my brother, and I know we're all proud of him. You know what I'm saying? I'm so proud of him, and the shit. I mean, he's doing exactly what he does. You know, he's been here. You know, it's just like the world needs to see that shit. The ones who might have, because we've been here, but it's like the ones who forgot, and that goes for the whole group. I feel, and not that, because saying that is also like, I feel like sometimes like not undercuts them, because they're legends and they're great altogether. You know what I'm saying? They could stop now and they're legends, but I feel, and I think a lot of us feel like it's not over. You know what I'm saying? It's not over. We hear the greatness, and the world needs to hear it. So, shout out to Bone as a whole for being one of my biggest influences, and I do hope to work with him soon. But like I said, I'm leaving that kind of in the chain of command and letting that door open over there, and then I'm right here. My door's open. It's been open. You know what I mean? But bro, and yeah, my wife, if she listens in on this, I love you, baby. And that's it, bro. I'm just grateful, man. I thank God. I give the ultimate shout out to God for letting me be in this position.
Blais, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. But before I let you go, I must ask you the question of doom.
Let's go.
So if there was one artist that you could bring back from the dead and produce an album for, who would it be and why?
Oh, come on. This is too easy, man. Michael Jackson, of course. And it's just, bro, he's like my biggest influence ever. Like, so, man, like I said, I only want to work on projects that I'm passionate about, bro. And that would be something that I would be very passionate about.
Like the ultimate experience.
MJ was everything.
Like the ultimate experience would be Michael Jackson for you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Blais, thanks so much, homie. And I can't wait to talk with you again, man. Thanks for doing my show, okay? Holler at me later, all right?
Hey, thanks. All right, for sure, bro. Thanks for having me.
All right. Folks, thanks for hanging out with us today. Make sure to hit up the description of this video for more information on how you can stay involved. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe to Blais as well. Also, be sure to visit IamBizzyBone.com to pick up your very own copy of Carbon Monoxide. Thanks again to Blais for dropping in, and stay tuned for my interview with the legendary Bizzy Bone. Click that little bell to be among the first fans to hear it. Until next time, peace.